Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode on Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM. Tonight, my special guest will take us through the experience of a football player from humble beginnings to earning a Super Bowl ring in the NFL. David Gamble of Albany, New York, began his career early and was a high school Hall of Fame player in several sports before beginning his professional career. From April 1996 to July 1998, he played for the Denver Broncos of the National Football League. During his tenure, he played backup receiver and was a significant contributor on special teams. David was a member of the 1998 Super Bowl championship team. After living a dream life on the field, many former players struggle with the transition to the real world. The professional life of a footballer is relatively short. David Gamble will talk about how he had more success off the field than on the field as a professional businessman. Let us welcome David Gamble to the Follow the Brand TV broadcast. To some, the NFL is a far-off dream, but to others, it's a goal that they have had in mind from the beginning of time that they took up the sport. David Gamble reached the highest levels of the NFL and took his talents to a whole nother level that has landed him next to some of the greatest who have ever played the game. I want to welcome David Gamble to the Follow the Brand TV. And now we have David Gamble with us. Now, David Gamble, I met him about, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we were at a local concert. And it's very, very good. If you've ever been to Miami Gardens, it's called Jazz in the Gardens. And I'm in the VIP tent. And I see this man, he walks in, he's pretty, you can't miss him. He's about, 6'2", 6'3", decently built guy. You can't miss him. I'm sitting there. I got my friend with me, and I see this gigantic gold ring that's emanating from his hand. I'm like, who is this guy with this big giant gold ring? And then I look and it says NFL. I'm like, okay. So I now have to talk to him, and we become fast friends. We have great conversations. We talk football, we talk life, we talk about our kids, we talk about things that are important. I want to bring that conversation to the Follow the Brand TV tonight because I want people to understand the journey forward. Would you like to introduce yourself, David?
Yes. Well, Grant, thank you very much for the intro. Man, you're absolutely right. I remember like it was yesterday when we had an opportunity to have our paths cross, and to be honest with you, it's been a blessing ever since. But I'll tell you, the journey of for me has been, I always say, a unique journey. I think everybody has a unique journey, but I definitely the way I drew it up is not the way it actually came out. So being somebody from upstate New York, born and raised in Albany, New York, I'm the son of two individuals that, are from the South. Both my mom and dad are from South Carolina. And I'm the youngest of three boys. And growing up in New York, I always say, Grant, I grew up with a Southern hospitality with a New York state of mind, right? So it was just great, really traditional Black family. My parents emphasized education and religion and family. That was our household. And being a New Yorker, the sport of choice was basketball. Brothers played basketball. My oldest brother, his, claim to fame was, growing up in the Sam Perkins era. He was in our high school, in our league. So we had the Big Sam was the big name coming out of Albany, New York. And then my middle brother was a really great basketball player, had scholarships, going, coming out of high school. And then there was me. I enjoyed playing sports. It was something that was definitely kept me out of the streets and kept me busy. Played all the sports. I was a baseball player. I was a track runner. I was a football player, and I was a basketball player. And, it was probably going into my 8th grade year, Grant, that I was like, man, this stuff is kind of getting kind of easy. And, I'm starting to, kind of live off my older brother's name and starting to get some success. And, fortunately for me, Grant, I grew up where, where you had guys where, you met them at 7 years old, and you played all 3 sports all the way you graduated high school. So the kind of the class that I grew up in, we experienced a lot of success. State championships in track, state championships in football, state championships in baseball, all out of one high school, out of my graduating class. And from there, Grant, I was, I was able to, kind of rise above that. And I was getting accolades, I grew up with 2 brothers that were, recruiting's different today, right? You have social media, you could get a lot of attention at a very early age. But I grew up with 2 brothers that were Heisman Trophy winners in high school. They're in my high school, Chucky and Chad Dukes. So we would get, college coaches come in every single day. I used to call it Baskin and Robbins, where somebody from a bright school like Tennessee to Florida State, Clemson, USC would be in our hallways recruiting, these 2 brothers. And man, I tell you, Grant, I think that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, is me getting the attention through them, right? They didn't come to see me, but as they looked on film, there was somebody who was also making plays out there. And I was able to make plays on the offensive end and the defensive end. And it really just, created that work ethic, that belief in myself, and really that, creating that journey of really what type of individual do I want to be.
Which is a great household. You had 2 older brothers who were exceptional in sports. And you being the younger son, you had a lot to live up to. I mean, that's a big, tall order. You're talking about your older brothers were Hall of Fame in their high school. So the Gamble name was already out there. So let me ask you, as a younger sibling, did you feel weight on your shoulders?
Not really. I didn't feel that weight, because I knew that the competition that was built in my household was greater than the competition that I was going to face out in the field. We competed from who was going to eat the most pancakes to ping pong to backgammon, who got like it was an environment of, I would like to say friendly competition, but sometimes it wasn't so friendly, right? And it really, at a very young age, it built a lot of character and a lot of, that competitive nature. And, I didn't worry about, living up to a name. I was trying to just understand who I was,
Okay. Yeah.
and I have to say I was fortunate to have early success, and that built the confidence.
Talk to me about, we say early success. What was that moment of truth when you realized, as you said, you got outside the door, you got away from your brothers, and you started to see the competition that was out there? What did you do that one time that really said, I'm standing out?
Well, I'll tell you, it was my 8th grade year. Going into my 9th grade year, Grant, my brother was 5 years older than me, so he just graduated high school. So to your point, he kind of left the area, right? And going into my 9th grade year, a couple things happened. I was able to dunk a basketball. I just completed a season in youth football where we were undefeated, unscored upon. Yeah, Super Bowl champions, kind of the best in New York State in youth football. And, I'm the running back, and it was I think that was like that coming out party. Baseball, just got done playing that summer in Babe Ruth or Little League. We were a couple game, one game shy of the Little League World Series. So it was ultimately that coming out of, man, I could do a little something. I could do a little something. And the something was not necessarily my individual accomplishments. The something was, I'm learning how to win.
Mm, that first taste, well, you had a great winning. I mean, Optimist, I know down here in South Florida where we both reside, is huge. I mean, it's huge business. That's how the high schools will come and recruit for their teams. And you can remember in South Florida, you've got a lot of individuals that end up in the NFL. So it's a showcase. So here you are in New York, in Albany. You're undefeated, which is a great feat. And unscored on is almost impossible. So I start to think like, well, maybe there wasn't great competition. You're saying I learned how to win. Now you're in high school. Now high school is not Optimist. That's not Little League. High school is high school. What you're going to do in 9th grade is going to live with you to the end of your days in at that higher education. What did you do next that really excelled at the high school level?
It wasn't a word back then, Grant, and it's kind of popular now, but it was something I did, and I just grind. I just grind. I did something. I hit the weight room. I just really kind of dedicated my high school years to be the best I could be, to be the fastest I could possibly be the strongest I could possibly be. I was, I remember being my oldest brother. I always wanted to be around my oldest brother, and he was a bodybuilder at the time. He was lifting weights, heavy. So I would always be around him. I'm after school, I'm leaving the fellas, and I'm being my brother going into the local gym. And I not only was it physically developing me, but it was putting some seeds into me around my mental toughness and preparing to compete against people that are bigger, stronger, faster than me, or may have a different recognition name. And that was the key.
No, I like what you said there, because everyone needs a mentor. They need a teacher. They need somebody to look up to. And the biggest thing, and I met your brother, and I can imagine what he would be like. It's like, he ain't going to give you no slack. You get no downtime. It's like, no, one more. No, one more. And when you got your brother who has a name, who's competed, who's well known, and you're aspiring to, like, this is now your time. This is now your high school. This is now wherever you're going to be is happening. So what were your accomplishments in high school?
Well, there were some, I was fortunate. Again, I was fortunate to be in a great situation. But I could tell you, we won the state championships in football. So I was part of that team. All state defensive back my senior year. Obviously all county, all district, all, kind of those local awards. In track, I ended up becoming this runner-up in the state in 400 meters in outdoor track. So, had some great, times, record times still to this day in the high school and in the area. Baseball, part of a regional, all-star team. And again, just really had, averages around 600, hitting home runs, led the league in stolen bases. And in basketball, just led my team in scoring and, 20 plus points a game. Again, it was definitely all those, everything, a combination of being on great teams, allowing, coaches to do what I, allow me to get, fulfill my potential. And I tell you, I ended up having I would say just a mental fortitude to win. So to me, it wasn't about getting the accolades. It was about winning trophies. I wanted to bring home trophies. I always, I joke around with my brothers and even my sons now. When you go to a banquet, you make sure you bring home more than just that participation little trophy. You got to bring home some hardware. And that was something I pride myself on.
No, that's an ethic and a code. Like, okay, I want the trophies. That means not only you individually, but the team. We're going out here, we're going to compete. So I can see that the way you just described that, I'm saying like you were the prime time. I'm prime in Albany, New York. You were prime, like David. Yeah, you said that name, everybody knew you. The name already has been out there. Now it's your time. You're doing it. And this is Albany, New York. You're not that far from New York City, few hours away. Those are the big boys, these big city boys. And who's this Gamble guy? But now you're at a point, you're senior, you're about to go into college. Who came knocking at your door?
You know what, Grant? It was that whole process of, college recruiting. Going into my junior year, had 0 offers. Going into the summer, into my senior year, I go to a football camp, and I end up getting MVP of the camp. And I end up getting every offer in all of the Northeast. Division I, Division II, Division III. And at that time, I already had a plan, no matter what school you were. And my plan was I wanted to stay within 4 hours of Albany, New York, because of my family. I wanted to be able, have them have the ability to see me play. So that was my first criteria. And my second criteria was I wanted to play at least my freshman or sophomore year. I didn't want to sit the bench. So I say that to know that, I was blessed to get offers from Syracuse, Penn State, Boston College, your major, at that time, major Division I schools, and then all, it's no longer called this, but Division I AA schools. And I end up narrowing down my offers to Syracuse, Boston College, University of New Hampshire, University of Connecticut, and Villanova. Those are my 5 schools that I narrowed it down, and ultimately selected the University of New Hampshire for not only their academic standards, but also the ability to play, literally have a chance to start my freshman year. Who was my receivers coach at the time was Chip Kelly, who is now the head coach over at UCLA. So he was really convincing to me and my mama in my living room.
Well, I tell you, that's a great story. I'm listening. Now I'm a little curious that you said you were on all these different sports. You were a track guy, you were in basketball, you were in baseball, you were in football. You chose football. Why did you choose football over these other sports?
Well, I really looked at, my body physique. I was, 6'2". I was on the lean side, around 185 pounds, wet. And, just my desire, my love for football. It just, I felt like it's something I thought I could excel in at the next level. I
Mm.
knew I could compete in the other sports at the next level, but I really thought that I could excel in football at the collegiate level.
Answer. Good.
Um,
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Now let's go into college. You're at college, and you chose. I like your reasons for choosing University of New Hampshire. I used to live in New Hampshire, by the way, and we always talk about that a little bit. But the fact that you talked to Chip Kelly and you said, I can start, I can go in there and I can build my portfolio of work over a good 4 years. Because some of these schools, yeah, you're going to compete just like with your brothers, right? And you might have to compete for a couple of years before you hit the field. Nobody else going to see you. When did, first of all, tell us about your career in New Hampshire, but start telling me about when you thought you could actually compete in the NFL.
well, that's funny. And I always say this, and I preach this. There's a difference between having goals and dreams. So I always had a dream to play in the NFL when I first started playing football. When I chose the University of New Hampshire, that wasn't to fulfill that dream. It was to fulfill my goal, and that was to excel at the collegiate level. I didn't, I wasn't thinking NFL. I was thinking I want to go and start and dominate. I wanted to, get records. I wanted to, propel the University of New Hampshire to, Yankee Conference championships and hopefully Division I, championship. That's what I went to school for. And, after my freshman year, and I was all freshman conference, my sophomore, I started getting All-American accolades, preseason All-American. Going to my junior year was really the pivotal moment for me. And it's because I had what I call my mentor, Dwayne Saab, who ended up getting drafted the second round to the New England Patriots. So I was able to witness and see all of that. I was able to see him, come from New Hampshire, work out at the same gym I did, practice on the same field I did. And he ends up getting, drafted in the second round. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm better than him at college. And if he can make it, then I'm going to make it. And that's going into my junior year was the first time I even thought about and had aspirations that possibly I could play in the NFL. I ended up having a great year my junior year. We ended up winning the championship and the Yankee Conference championship. And I go into my senior season as a preseason All-American. And, it was just a combination of hard work. We had a new coaching staff. Folks are getting promoted. Chip Kelly is now, OC and things of that nature. And I end up having just one phenomenal senior year. I always tell people my accolades is Randy Moss broke my Division I AA records at Marshall. So it was definitely a season at that time going to a school that wasn't pass happy. We were kind of that ground and pound and throw on third downs. For me to have the season that I did and the career that I did, I was really proud of, and it opened up doors to the next level.
So I just learned something. I did not realize that you broke records in your division that stood for a long time, were broken by Hall of Fame receivers. That says a lot, that you truly excelled in the sport and you got national recognition. And the fact that you had someone on your team that went to the NFL and you saw the work ethic. You saw what they were looking for, what you can do. and how you could get it done. This is phenomenal. So before we continue, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about your NFL career, and we're going to talk about the things that you want NFL players and people that are aspiring to an NFL to talk about. How about that?
All right.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.fivestarbdm.com today to learn more.
Thanks, everybody. I'm glad you are back. We're going to continue with the David Gamble story. And he's going to take us to the point, first of all, that he got drafted. We're going to talk about draft night, that he actually got drafted. And he can talk about his NFL career and a few other things. So, David, take us through that experience. Now you got the accolades, you're on top of your game. When did you start to realize you're going to be drafted?
Well, I'll tell you, it was after obviously the season, and you start to go through, the award. I call the kind of the award season, where you get some of these accolades, and all through the time, NFL scouts that they're working behind the scenes. They're going to your games. they're talking to your coaches constantly. And it started happening around February, right after all the bowl games happen. And next thing you know, you start to get, through your coaches that such and such team is interested, and you start to, prepare for some type of workout, right? Whether it's at the university or you go to the school. And you know what, Grant, my goal was to get to the combine, right? I wanted to get to the combine. That way I could kind of compare myself to the other receivers coming out that are at the higher, the bigger name schools. That was kind of my mentality was I just wanted to prove and showcase that, yes, I went to New Hampshire, but I could have went to your school and I played you there. That was my mentality. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I didn't get a chance to go to the combine. I was not selected. So I knew that I had to show up and show out during our combines that we would have at the facility. So every week, maybe 2 or 3 teams would come and we would have what they call pro day at our school. And you know what? I was able to produce those same numbers that I felt that I could have produced in Indianapolis if I was able to go to the combines with a 4.4 40, benching 225 26 times, and having my shuttles and my vertical. It definitely opened up those doors. And I'll tell you, I think I got excited, Grant, after that, because I got an agent. Next thing you know, I got agents calling me, wanting to represent me. And, I ended up selecting an agent. And that was probably the first inkling that, hey, you know what? I'm real close to this. I'm real close. So then instead of taking advice and direction from your coaches, now you're listening to all this stuff through your agent.
Yeah, right.
And we get closer to April when the draft is. And I worked out for just about every team in the NFL. And, you start to hear, and, who's interested, who likes you. And at that time, it was Philadelphia Eagles and Chicago Bears were really interested in me. Follow-up phone calls, interviews with the coaches, interviews with the general manager, and, wishing me luck. And, this is before cell phones, right? So, I know cell phones. You got, you got your mama house, and you got the rotary phone, right? You got the rotary phone. We did have two-way. We did have a two-way back then, but that was about it, right? So, you know what we did? We had a big draft party, Grant, at my house, friends, family, and it was really, really exciting. It was everything you see today, right? Barbecuing in the backyard, hush, be quiet in the TV room with the phone, and I'm just sitting there watching it, and you kind of have your checklist, where the receivers are going, because every draft has a theme. Either quarterbacks go early, linemen go late, quarterbacks may go third, second round. So there's always a theme. And that theme was a lot of the receivers were going early. It was a draft, it was a receiver heavy draft. And I was getting called saying that, at that time they just eliminated from 12 rounds to 7 rounds, which is what we have today. So if I went a year before, you had all the way up to 12 rounds. And so, the first day goes by, I know I wasn't getting drafted first round, but I wanted to see, right?
Yeah.
And second day came. And that's where I kind of felt like I was going to, land and, at the edge of my seat watching. And you know what, Grant? It was a bittersweet day. It was a bittersweet day to the fact that I did not get drafted. I had 3 teams call me that day saying, hey, if you're still around, the next round, we're going to pick you up. The next round doesn't happen. If you're still around in the 6th round, we're going to pick you up. It didn't happen. 7th round, if you're still there, we're going to pick you up. And they didn't pick me up, which was extremely disappointing. I mean, you could probably imagine.
Yeah.
I literally had local news cameras at the house, and within I think 13 minutes, I had 3 teams call me. It was the Philadelphia Eagles, Chicago Bears, and the Chargers, San Diego Chargers at the time. And, they apologized for not choosing me. They had to go a different route. And, but they wanted to offer me a free agent contract. And I selected the Philadelphia Eagles. And, it was the best scenario for me because I know they didn't draft a receiver that, during that time. And I know I had a great chance of making the team.
Wow.
And that was the journey.
Man, you are telling the story of what it's like, even for the best of high school athletes, the best of collegiate athletes, getting now, because you get into a small window of opportunities, small windows, and it's all about what that team needs. It's not about your athleticism. You could probably compete and do well, but hey, you know what? I don't need a receiver. I don't need that kind of receiver or this or that. So now you get into these small niches, So now I want to talk about, because you had a career in the NFL, you got there, but you're a free agent, meaning that's not money. That's not money. You got to make the team.
Right.
You got to make the team. Then you've got to make the roster. Then you got to go through the contract. Take us through that a little bit.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it goes back to your first question about when I was in 8th grade and I kind of felt that niche. And I'll tell you, for me, it drew me back into, that's all I ever wanted in life was an opportunity. And if I was going to bet on somebody, I was going to bet on me. And I had such a mentality that I could compete against anybody and with anybody in the world.
Okay.
So you got to talk about 8th grade through high school, college, all through college. I had a competitor mentality and a, grind mentality. I was going to outwork you. I always had that chip on my shoulder. And now it was a perfect scenario for me. I went in, they brought in at least 20 receivers, Grant, from Florida States. I'll never forget, from the Florida States to the BYUs, USCs, UCLAs, you name it, they had a receiver from that school. And that's all I didn't think about making the team. I thought about beating them.
Nice.
I just knew that they didn't have the work ethic or the mentality to compete every single play. And I know that there were guys out there faster than me. There were guys that probably had better hands than me, ran better routes than me. But I figured every time I stepped on the field, that I give 100%, nobody could outwork me.
Yes.
And that's what I know why I made the team.
Now you was at Philly. Take us through now, because you left Philly, you ended up Denver Broncos. You ended up on an historic team and playing in the Super Bowl, man. I mean, walk us through how you felt. What was that like?
At the end of the day, I'll tell you, it's the luck of the Irish, and I'm not Irish. Okay, this is just my journey, but this could be your journey. This could be anybody's journey. It's not the way you actually, you write it up. There's very few people that get drafted the first round and leave with a Super Bowl ring and a Hall of Fame career. Those are far and few. Most of everybody else's journeys, up and down, highs and lows, doubts, depression, excitement, and I'm no stranger to that, right? So after Philly, I was literally out of the NFL. I had to play 3 years of Canadian football to get enough film to get another opportunity to play in the NFL. And then back in 1996, I, after a great, not only successful, but a fun couple of years playing in Canada, I call it the Doug Flutie invasion, where the Jacksonville Jaguars, great job by them this past weekend, and Carolina Panthers, they were looking for players to, roster their team. So they allowed CFL players to try out for their teams. I tried out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They offered me a contract. And then somehow my agent heard that the Denver Broncos were interested. And I went up to Denver to work out with them, even though I already almost signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And fate would have it, after that workout, I signed on the dotted line with the Denver Broncos in 1996. Had a year filled with injuries. Again, I'm almost there. I'm there and I'm not. And then come 97, which I believe, really put it all together, not only for me individually, but for the franchise. That we not only had a great year, and I've been able to live my dreams, which is playing in the NFL and contribute in any way possible, if that's running routes or special teams, which I did primarily. We went and played the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl 32 and come up with almost, at the time, one of the best Super Bowls ever seen, but damn sure one of the best Super Bowls to ever be involved in. And we end up being Super Bowl champions of Super Bowl 32.
But talk to me about some of the teammates. People don't realize the teammates that were on that team. Tell me some of those teams.
Characters. You know what? I don't know if there's a team that had a Super Bowl that had more Hall of Famers than the Denver Broncos in 1997. You had John Elway, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, and now Steve Atwater and Zimmerman, 5 Hall of Famers on one team. And again, I was blessed to be on that team and have a lot of fun and great memories. As a matter of fact, Grant, this year is the 25th anniversary of this Super Bowl, and we're going to celebrate it all together on October 23rd in Denver against the Jets.
Man, that is wonderful, David. This has been great. We're going to go to commercial break. We're going to come back and talk to us about what you're doing now and how you're encouraging the next generation of Gambles to be as great as their father.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun. I am Black business. From the moment I wake Until the time I sleep, I am Black business. I am Black business. Are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090. I am Black business.
The Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K through 12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund. This has been a phenomenal story. I've learned so much more about the journey and what it takes to be at the pillar, at the top of the game when you weren't expected to be there. And here you are at the top of the game with Hall of Fame players on the field with a Super Bowl ring. I am sure everyone in your family was extremely proud of you. I know I'm extremely proud of you. But I want to talk about the journey you're on right now, meaning you now then had to switch from being a professional football player to being a professional executive. Talk about us. Well, what are you doing now these days, David?
Yeah, Grant, that is the pivot point of not only my life, but any athlete. You know, when you play, you always hear at some point the air out of the ball is going to be let out. And, you know, and it did. For me, it was abrupt, right? So it was injury that, you know, I tore my shoulder, you know, had complete reconstructive surgery and wasn't able to come back. And it was, you know, that door just shut. So it becomes at the age of 29, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Right. And many athletes have to go through that. In NFL or in even basketball, a lot of them either get into broadcasting now, you know, getting on the sidelines to become a coach. And then some don't have a plan. I was fortunate enough to note, because of the history and the journey I went through, I knew that air was going to be let out sooner or later, right? So I always had a contingent plan. And for me, it was to go back and to do something that is equivalent to playing, you know, professional football. And that was leading people. And I was blessed to get into an industry, grocery retail. You know, instantly got into a leadership position, and that journey kind of moved itself around to where I'm at today. And that is an executive in HR at a grocery at Whole Foods. And that has been really fulfilling and rewarding. And it allows me to be a father and have that work-life balance and do something that I'm just truly passionate about. And that's staying in the game of football, coaching my sons, and training them and grooming them to, live their dreams.
Well, I tell you, David, that I've watched you do that, not only with your sons, but some of your very, very good friends. You've got Nick Benito. He's playing for the Broncos right now. I watched you when he was, in high school here, that you went to the Oklahoma Sooners, and I'm sure that you were able to guide him and help him on his journey to be a professional football player. If you had to say, we've got just a few minutes left, if you had to talk to somebody, even if your own son, what is the number one? Here's the work ethic. Here's what you need to understand in order to go from being just another athlete, to being a professional. What would you say?
I would say, number one, don't play the game, use the game. I'm gonna say that again. I don't play the game, use the game. And what I mean by that, no matter if you're playing youth football, high school, or college, don't play, use it. Use it to get a free education. Use it to travel the world. Use it to meet people and be able to, network. All the things that are going to happen, and you're going to need longer than the game that you play. That is first and foremost. Walk away with a degree if possible. Walk away with experiences. And then in doing so, play every play like it's your last. Have a passion for it. A lot of folks you see today, they don't love the game. They do it because they're good at it, or they do it because it prevents them from getting in trouble or some things of that nature. Play the game with a passion that you can't live without it. That will include working out, training as hard as you possibly can, getting the best grades you possibly can, formulating yourself off the field as much as you want to dominate on the field. Because as higher you go, the smaller that window becomes. Everybody's able to play youth football. All you have to do is have your parents sign you up and pay the $200 and you play youth football, right? High school, now that separates those that just want to have fun, and now they're taking it a little bit serious, and their body is able to, mature enough to handle that type of whatever position you play. Then it becomes college. Now it becomes even a smaller window. Not everybody plays college football or college sports. So you really, now it almost becomes a business or a job per se. So you better have to have something within that you love doing it and you're ready to put the sacrifice in. And then that last piece, you got to have a little grit. You're going to have a lot of glory. And you're going to have God on your side just to give you a little sprinkle to, open up some doors. That's what I would tell anybody. But it has to begin with using the game versus playing the game.
Man, great conversation, Dave. This has been wonderful. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say this. You probably have made more money in business than you did as a professional athlete. Is that correct?
No, that's absolutely correct. And that goes for most NFL players. The average NFL player is still 3 years, Grant. The average NFL lifespan is 3 years. There's just so much money you could make out of 3 years. So what? Somebody ends their career 25, 26. That means from 25 or 26 all the way to retirement, that's the money you'll really be making. And that's what people really have to understand. I've made twofold more money than I did playing, or than I did now than playing. and I'm not the onlyest one. So it really pushes that fact of getting an education, having a plan, and if you don't have it, allow somebody to help you, and using your networking and using your abilities to make sure that you have that success, so you could be not only just an outstanding, gentleman or man or female, but a great father, husband, community leader and influence. And that's really what it's all about.
Well, this has been wonderful. I could never have said it any better. I am so glad you are an inspiration to so many people. I'm very, very, very proud of you, David Gamble. You have had a stellar life. You're going to continue to have even more of a stellar life because you're pouring into our youth and letting them know how to play the game. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant. I appreciate you having me on. And I'll tell anybody, if you need fantasy football advice, I also provide a great system of how to defeat and win championships in fantasy as well.
We're not gonna go there. I'm not gonna pull out my 3 rings. I'm not gonna pull out, my victories. We're not gonna, because that's the only way I can compete with David Gamble. I'm not gonna compete with him on a football field, but on a fantasy football field, he already knows that I am number 1. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Grant.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius.